sing of your love. Thank you, Jesus. And I'll sing of your mercy. And I'll tell the whole world that I'm in love with you. Yes, I am, Jesus. Jesus, we lift up your name. We lift you up, Lord. Jesus, we lift up your name. Jesus, we lift up. Do it again. Jesus, we lift up your name. Jesus. Jesus, we lift up your name. 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 Everybody say, I want to sing of your love. I want to sing of your mercy.
It is anniversary.
It is.
This is amazing. So what we want to do is kind of talk to you about Now Church, how you guys got here to where you are today, 1 year later. This is super exciting. So let's get right on into it.
Let's do it. You ready?
Okay.
All right.
So first I want to ask you, what did God reveal to you about Now Church, and what is the significance of it being in Chapel Hill?
Wow. So Now Church kind of was revealed in stages. I can remember we met this powerful woman of God, Prophetess Janet Floyd, and she kind of became like a mother to us. And she would call us at like 4:30 in the morning and say, hey, get your wife up. I got a word for y'all.
Yeah.
And one day she had come to town to minister at a church, and she saw us and she said, are y'all starting a church? We're like, nah, we're not starting a church. That was like 2008. And she said, Chapel Hill. And she went and back to eating her Bojangles or whatever we had brought her.
She said nothing.
Yeah, we were like, all right, whatever. And so we didn't have a name for it, and we didn't even have a thought for it then, because we didn't know we were going to start a church. And she prayed for us. We went to the service that she was at. I'm kind of in the back. We're kind of low key, didn't want a word. And she came over and she put her hands on our head and she said, give them a double portion. You can trust them with it. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever that means. You know, and that kind of shows that for everybody who's watching, you know, God said he has no respect of person. And you can get a word and it may not be revealed until the manifested time. Right. That was 13 years ago. Yeah. 13 years ago. And so there's somebody who's watching right now, God's spoken a word, or somebody said, you know what, God is gonna do this in your life, and you're kind of like, when is it gonna happen? When is it gonna happen? And it won't manifest itself until the appointed time. And then so 2019, fast forward, you know, God started praying, said, hey, you guys are gonna senior pastor. And it was like, oh, when did this become a part of the plan? And he said, now. And we were praying, and Chapel Hill came up, and we were sitting at home one day, and I said, the Lord said the Century Center. And she said, for what? And I said, I don't know. He said, that may be a good place to start a church. What do you think? And she said, let's look it up. And we hadn't been in the church, that place, for 16 years. And we looked it up, and saw how many people could hold. And the next day, we went to the Century Center, and the lady said, "This is perfect timing. There was a church here this Sunday that was here for 8 years, and they're not coming back anymore." So we turned over our plate, we started to fast, we started to pray, and I had this dream. And in the dream, right beside the Century Center, there was a wave that was going down the street, all through Chapel Hill, all through, what's the name of that street, babe?
Greensboro Street.
Greensboro Street. And it was going, and people were jumping on the wave. Just people were jumping on the wave. And the Lord said, "You're gonna see revival." And I said, "What?" He said, "Yep, you're gonna see revival." He said, "I'm gonna open up the windows, I'm gonna open up the floodgates and pour out." And I said, "Lord, if this is something that you want us to do, then not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord." And he said, "You will see revival in this place."
We're gonna see revival.
People gathered in your presence, here to worship you, Lord. You said it in your word, when two or three are gathered in your name, you're in our midst. We honor you, Lord.
God gave you a dream about revival taking place. Have you already seen proof of this at Now Church?
Wow.
Yeah, well, I think to answer that question, you almost have to understand that God has never really done anything in a conventional manner in our lives. Just within our own relationship, as far as, getting married young, and we graduated in May. Got
People
married
thought we
in
were
August.
crazy.
They thought we were insane, but here we are, 23 some years later.
Yeah.
So it goes without saying that God has used certainly what would seem foolish to confound the wise in our situation. And I think that's true of Now Church.
Yeah, the thing about it is when we started Now Church, and I'm not saying this is everybody's story, as she said, God has never done. He gave her that word. We were in the kitchen one day. He said, Nate, God's just never going to do anything in a conventional way in our life. And that was, I don't know how many years ago. And the way we started Now Church is very unconventional. The word came quick. We started quick. We started a pop-up service. No praise and worship team, no band. We didn't take up an offering or anything like that. And 212 people showed up that day. And we're kind of looking, saying, at the pop-up. No envelopes. We didn't take any kind of information, which what you do. And we did that pop-up in April. And in church planting worldom, I don't know if that's a word, but you start in the fall, you start New Year's, you start Easter, you start Mother's Day.
You go by the book is
You
what
go
you
by
do.
the book.
Yeah.
You do
There's
it in
a calendar.
There's a calendar. to do it.
When to do what.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so we did this in April. And we looked.
Right after Easter.
After Easter.
Yeah.
And we said, we didn't get any of these people's information. So I stood up on the stage and said, hey, y'all like it? It's like, yeah. I was like, all right, come back next week. And the next week, May 5th, 5/5/19, we started Now Church, which was in the summer, which was insane. First service, we had 333 people. We had already reached
People
capacity.
sitting and standing up.
People standing against
in
the
the
wall.
back, in the hallway.
Yeah. and so we didn't do it in a conventional manner. And God gave her a word. Tell them the word about 5/5/19.
Sure. Well, I like to study out the word and what it means, and so the number 5, its significance in the sense of the Bible and the word is favor. And so for us to start on a day in May, the 5th month of the year, on the 5th day of that month, is just a double portion of favor. And we have seen that above and beyond. And even that 19 is significant in that the 10 and the 9 coming together is God's perfect order and judgment. And I do believe that his hand is upon this ministry.
And the thing about it is, as I said earlier, double anointing, you can trust him with it, double favor, and then God's hand is on it. And so it was all God's timing. And so once, we saw 212 people show up and then 333, it was like the door opened. And I was like, man, I can see the light now. Yeah. The wave, the light, I can see the light. Oh man, let's run through it. The door opened and we just ran through it and figured it out.
Forward, asking trouble won't last always. I dare you to high five somebody and say trouble don't last always. Yeah, yeah. Hallelujah.
Wow. So next, I want to ask you something that's a little bit more serious, and just ask you, how do you think that God prepared you for this season? Meaning, like, how did he help you remain strong through the transition and you trusting God with the vision of Now Church?
I think one of the things with us is we've had just like different seasons in our life that prepped us for different things. And I thought that once we came out of one season, like, all right, that's the preparation, we're good. And God said, yep, that was the preparation for that season. Go forward. Preparation for another season. Go forward. Preparation for another season. Go forward. And so being in a season where we didn't really know, didn't really understand, and even though that's how God had dealt with us, it still didn't feel good. But it allowed us to lean and bend and really listen to what the Lord has said, what he was saying. One of the things about us is, and I always say this, sometimes people get the big picture of what God is gonna do, and God did it to us in steps. So we were always able to enjoy one another and enjoy the journey because we didn't know where we were going. We just knew God was with us. As you said with the 19, we just knew God was with us. So there was no hurry, no, like, we got to get here. Oh man, I'm 46 and you're 21. No, I'm 46 and you're 22. You're 22. And so we did the reverse role of Sarah and Abraham. You know, this is going to be a 46-year-old man starting a ministry.
No, sure.
And God said, yeah, that's the way I want it. Because you have this treasure in jars of clay, so you can show that this all-surpassing power is from me and not us. And one of the things that we said about Now Church is, unless God builds a house, it won't stand. And we're moving with the cloud, because that's what we've always done. Yeah. And so coming out, it was kind of like that was pre-season, and now we're in season. And so we got some faith muscles that coming out on the other side, that even though it may look crazy, we knew and we heard what God said. So the obstacles didn't really matter, didn't really shake us. You know, even with, tell them about, you know, when people would have measures of, you know, what month are y'all in?
Oh my goodness, it seemed like all the time, you know, straight out the gate, you know, everyone's excited about what's going on with the ministry. Oh, you seem to be growing so quickly and people are responding, the community's excited. But then you, of course, have the naysayers, and, you know, even some of them meant well.
And not naysayers.
Yeah, they weren't negative.
They were
It was more
equating church to business.
Right, and so the strategy that's well known is, you know, after your first 90 days, you want to assess how well you're doing. You'll know, because the crowd will fall off, you know, the people who are really with you, you know, you'll see. Everyone kept saying, you'll see, 90 days.
That's that by the book thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
That's the
Again,
conventional.
conventional principles,
Yeah.
protocols that people would put into place. 90 days, you'll know.
Right.
And so the closer we got to 90 days, we were like, well, you know, God's doing what he's doing.
Yep.
And we passed 90 days, we passed 120 days,
Yeah.
and here we are a year, you know, to
Yep.
the date, and God is still showing himself strong.
Yeah, and he's showing himself strong, and we're like, hey,
Yeah.
we got some faith muscles
We
now.
do, we
You know,
do.
one of the things that, and it has nothing to do with the Bible, but Dan Patrick, once he left a major organization, he said, man, I got these type of muscles now. And I told Champ, I said, man, we got some faith muscles now.
Yeah, absolutely.
We withstood some stuff, man. We strong. We are stronger in this season than we've ever been before.
Absolutely.
do because I cannot lie. By the grace of God, I can do anything. It's the grace of God through Christ who strengthens me. Greater than ever, strong. Oh, greater than ever, strong. I said greater than ever. You ought to tell somebody, I said greater than ever. Stronger than I've ever been before. Yeah, you are strong. I just came to prophesy to somebody that you're stronger than I've ever been before. Yeah, yeah. Stronger than. Strong enough to win, strong enough to fight again. When I rise from this, I'll be unstoppable. Oh, with God on my side, there's no way I can lose. Hallelujah. He'll renew my strength, the heartache and pain He will use. By the grace of God, I can do anything, yeah. It's the grace of God through Christ who strengthens me. Yeah. By the grace of God, I can do anything. Yes, it's the grace of God. He strengthens me. Yeah. Greater than ever. I said greater than ever. You want to lift your hands and say greater than ever. Yes, I said greater than ever. Stronger than I've ever been before. I shall live and not die. I shall live and not die. You ought to know that you're gonna make it through. I'm stronger. It didn't break me. It didn't brill me, but it built me up. Yeah. Hey, you won't leave me. You will cover me. You will strengthen me. Oh, said you won't leave stronger. You're stronger than I've ever been before. You're stronger than I've ever been before. Stronger than I've ever been before. Yeah, you're gonna make it through, yes.
This has not only been a good year, this has been a phenomenal year. Like, God has shown up and shown out. And just tell us some of the things that impacted you guys the most about this past year of how God has shown himself to be so good.
I think the biggest thing is just that he broke every rule in churchdom, as I would say. I think that one of the things that even in getting stronger, it was kind of like, have you ever learned something? Have you ever learned the words to a song and not really know when you learned them?
Oh, yeah, sure.
But if it comes on, you know the song.
Right.
You know the song. Yeah. And I think working in ministry for so long that when the song of "You guys are gonna pastors" came in, it was kind of like Lord says, "Oh man, you know this song. Yeah. You know this song."
It's instinctive.
It's instinctive.
Right.
And I think we had I know we had a great group of people to do it with us. And it's just something when we are welcoming first-time guests, and I see so many people from Chapel Hill and so many people we went to school with and school teachers and stuff like that. And so this is a song that we used to sing and say, "Oh, holy God, I stay amazed." And one of the things that we want to do is always stay amazed, because anything you value, you won't abuse. And we value that God has entrusted us with what we're doing right now. He's a great big God.
Yes, he is.
He is a great big God. And what we've been saying now is, first year we said move with the cloud. And now it's enter in. And so we enter in, and not just us, but everybody that now church. We are entering in something that God has done for us, but he's a great big God.
Amazing. All right, well, that wraps it up. Is there anything you want to say to the Now Church family, those who coming, those who have been here since day one?
Oh, wow. Certainly we love what we do as far as the leadership of the church, and we love the people that we get to pastor and come in contact with, even just the community. But as you just referenced, I am excited all the more about what's to come, because it's time to enter in, and we're going to do that together. God has no respect of person, and so what he's done for one, he's able to do for us all.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited about that.
And I think the thing about it is that wave that the Lord showed me, everybody jumped on.
Yeah.
Everybody jumped on the wave. You all have jumped on this wave. And as we're sitting here talking, we're going to enter in at the same time, because we're all on the same move of God. And it's not just, I may join this year. The thing about it is, in the kingdom, whether you came in first or whether you come in last, everybody has the same privileges. Faith, family, community is just how we get down. Now Church, where you're right now affects your everyday life. Every day is now.
It is.
Yep.
Just like home.
Just like home.